Hey everybody, this is Captain Yeet here for you for another My Hero Academia Season 6 episode review. This is going to be episode 4 entitled Inheritance. So, let's get into it. So, this episode starts off with a flashback of Hawks and Tokoyami. Tokoyami is just narrating everything that Hawks' quirk can do, how his quirk is him having those huge gigantic wings. He can obviously fly with them at great speeds. He can control every single last feather to do whatever he really needs to. He can use the vibrations of the airs to the airs. He can use the vibration of the air to sort of do like a sonic, yeah, so sort of like a bat like echolocation with his wings. And he's like, man, this guy's like amazing. He has no flaws. And then it cuts to a flashback of Tokoyami and Hawks talking. And he's like, "You have any weaknesses, Hawks, with that amazing power? That can, that one power that can do all these different things. He can also make wing blades." Hawks like, I guess it would have to be fire. Tokoyami's like, wow, really? So what do you do when you're up against a villain that has fire abilities? He goes, well, I just try to stop the villain before he's even able to use the fire. Then it cuts to what's going on now, and it's Fat Gum running, and he calls himself the Fat Taxi. And it's Tokoyami, Mudman, the Mushroom Girl, and Kaminari inside of his stomach. Kaminari says, "Hey, we all can still fight. We can still help you guys on the battlefront. Why are you sending us back to the other group that's in the forest?" And in fact, I'm explaining that you guys were only here so we can discombobulate all the leaders and some of the main villains that were like out and about inside of the mansion at first. They didn't have the underground part of the mansion, so all the villains that were like inside the mansion on the top part and all the leaders, you guys area effect attacks were just meant to like discombobulate them and separate them. Now that we have already done that massively, we're gonna close in and make like a spider net around them to full on capture every single last person. And once we do that, it's gonna be kind of hard for you guys to do your area of effect attacks when we're in that closed spider net type state. Kaminari like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then as soon as he says that, boom, we hear a huge burst of flame just break like a window, and Tokoyami and Fat Gun both look up, and then you see the blue flames come out of the window, and Tokoyami's like, wait a second, is that? And we cut to the opening. So we gotta get through the opening. After the opening, we cut to Dabi and Hawks, and obviously Dabi, he is really mad. He goes, you killed twice. He was running away. He had his back turned, and you killed him. You killed him. How can you do that? What kind of hero kills a person that had his back turned? Obviously, he's really mad at, that was his boy. And he makes a huge burst of flame in his hand and shoots it at Hawks. It hits Hawks, and his wings are just burning up and crisping and just, disintegrating away. And Hawks is screaming. He's trying to pat the fire down on his wings. He goes, man, this is crazy. It's like his flame's getting even hotter. And he fumbles and falls to the ground because the fire was just so hot on his back. He just couldn't stand. Like, it was so much pain. And then Nabi steps on his back. He goes, how dare you do that? And then Hawks looks up at him. He goes, hey, you sound pretty mad that I killed your friend, but you don't look too sad. Why is that? He goes, how dare you say I'm not sad about my friend dying? He was my one ticket. Well, it was kind of weird because he, obviously, Dabi's really mad about twice dying. And he mentions about how he's, sad about that. He also mentions about how his quirk was the ticket to him fulfilling Stain's dream. 3, he also mentions that, he burnt his tear ducts a long time ago. So he can't cry. I'm overwhelmed with grief. And he does this huge flame blast that engulfs him in flame. And all you see is his silhouette. That was really cool. Now, in the manga, he says, I'm heartbroken. But in the anime, he says, I'm overwhelmed with grief. I don't know what he says in the sub, but in the dub, he says, I'm overwhelmed with grief. I kind of like the I'm heartbroken line better than I'm overwhelmed with grief. But both of them still work too. Both of these still work. Now I'm gonna show you guys the scene of Dabi smiling, looking crazy. That's why Hawks was like, "Hey, you sound mad, but you look kind of happy. Like, you look kind of happy right now that I killed your friend." And then I'm gonna show you guys the scene where he does that big flame burst on on Hawks' back, and all you see is his silhouette in the sea of flames. That was pretty cool. He is Dabi looking down at Hawks with that crazy smile, and that's why he was like, you don't look too sad, man. You don't look too sad right now. And then here's the really cool scene of Dabi engulfing himself in flames. We do get like a few, not even a few scenes. We just like cut really quickly to twice his body just laying on the ground. We don't get to see his face, but we do just see him lying on the ground. But it's not really too much to show. Just twice laying on the ground. All you see is his back, Here's the cool scene I was talking about where he engulfed himself in flames. And all you see, well, it's not really his silhouette. It's really just his eyes glowing white. And yeah, that's really. Oh, he says I'm really sad in the sub. Okay. Yeah, that's not too better than. That's not really better than I'm heartbroken. Anyway, after that, we get a quick flashback to when Hawks was indoctrinated into that special program to become a hero. And then we cut back, and Hawks is like, hey, we have information on every single member of the League of Villains, but you and Shigaraki. Who the heck is this guy? Who are you? You even knew my real name, because he yelled it out last episode to confuse Hawks while he was chasing twice. And then Dabi, he says his name. It kind of shocks Hawks, but the volume like cuts out. That's when he says that, to keep the mystery. And Dabi's like, yep, yeah, you know who I am. You should have been focusing on me. I'm the one that's going to continue Hero Killer Stain's. Well, he says I'm the one that's going to continue Stain's will. And then Hawks is like, Stain, the hero killer? And then he's like, yep, now you're going to die for your sins. And he charges up a big flame blast. He goes to hit him, but then it cuts back to Juku Hospital. We do get one scene in between what I just said in Juku Hospital, where it's the police station and they're just rambling off everything we already knew. We see Guy and Tamaki looking at the radio to hear what Tomura Shigaraki has to say. They make it to the police station where they're just like, Dabi and Hawks are fighting right now. All the heroes have closed off all the exits for the villains. Now they're trapped. Like, we already know this stuff. I guess it's just a matter of runtime, but we already know this stuff, man. Here's a cool scene where right before it cuts away, we see Dabi just smiling and he says his real name. And we just see him it's kind of cool just to see the wind make his collar like float around and the flames behind him too. I mean, that was pretty dope. Anyway, let's cut over to the next scene with Juku Hospital. Now, we go back to Juku Hospital, and let me put this back on the TV, actually. I was taking forever to do that. Okay. So, we go back to Juku Hospital, and we cut to Endeavor running up to Crust. Now, Crust is fighting, Crust is fighting that high-end Nomu that's blocking the way to the laboratory, and Miracle's in there by herself fighting the other high-ends. Now, Endeavor and Eraserhead comes. Eraserhead does his quirk, so he can't regenerate anymore. Endeavor does Jet Burn Fist, and then disintegrates him, and we cut back to Miracle fighting the three high-end Nomus. Now, she's jumping around, flipping around, dodging all their attacks, and Miracle comes in to do a kick on one of them, and one of the Nomu dodges it. And Miracle goes, I'm not landing any hits. I know my body better than anybody. I'm not getting any weaker. I'm not getting any slower. These guys are starting to awaken. And they're like, they're actually starting to actually think that dodging, they're getting stronger. This is pretty bad. My main objective is to get the doctor and the Shigaraki. So that's what I'm going to do. So she does a flip. She runs past everybody. And she just charges straight towards them. They notice, all the high, like, hey, she's going for the doctor, get her. So while she's running, she has like this internal dialogue, which is pretty cool. She goes, rabbits in the real life forest and stuff, they have the best chance of escape if they use their speed and run. And she's constantly running towards where Dr. Garaki and Shigaraki are. All the high-end Nomus run and jump her. Like, one grabs her hair, one takes a huge chunk out of her leg, and she just rips her hair. Like, she yanks her head like this, and her hair rips, and then she moves her foot really hard, and a big chunk of her leg just comes out, and she's keeping it moving. Like not even skipping a beat. Like she's keeping it moving, not even skipping a beat, until eventually she does get to where Dr. Garaki and Shigaraki are. She jumps up, does a flip to do a kick, and she's doing the kick mid-air, and that one Nomu who has that hair quirk that can stretch it out pierces her leg, and she does ugh, I'm still going, and she still does, she's still coming down with her kick, and it hits the glass container that Shigaraki's in. It's starting to crack a little bit, and it's not fully destroyed, so she's still doing it until eventually Endeavor comes, punches the Nomu that's stabbing Miracle. The Nomu stops stabbing her because the tendril that was in her leg just disintegrates as soon as he punches the Nomu, and so she full on does Tigress. I think it's called Tigress Axe, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta look back at the subtitles to make sure. But here's the scene I was talking about where she's running towards the Dr. Garaki and Shigaraki. and all the nobles grab her to stop her, but then she just like and just keeps it moving. Like she doesn't even care, just keeps it moving. Her got a big chunk of her leg out and her hair got red, but she's just keeping it moving. She's going. She's going. Anyway, let me make sure I got the. Actually, oh yeah, we don't see it till later. Let me just put this to the side then. Because we do, because after that we get the eye catcher, and then we cut back to how Endeavor and everybody got in. I mean, Endeavor just disintegrates the noble that Crust was fighting. After that, everybody runs in there. President Mike, he yells to get all the nobles discombobulated. And Razorhead looks at all of them, so all the quirks are disabled. So Crust, I-Beam, the other guy, like all these different heroes just rush in there and start to fight them, while Endeavor, he runs off ahead to go where Miracle is. And then it was kind of a cool scene because that noble that Endeavor punches has multiple skull layers. So he goes, whoa, multiple skull layers. It's like, you know, he says it's like a built-in shock absorption. But then Razorhead looks at it. He goes, okay, he's disabled. You can go full on in. He goes, okay, just burn. He just punches it again. I'm like, okay, that was cool. That was cool. And this was the eye catcher for Razorhead. The first one was Miracle, but we saw Miracle last episode. I think we saw her for the one before that too. No. We saw her for episode 2. Last episode was Hawks and Twice. My bad. I got that mixed up. I got that completely mixed up. Anyway, while everybody's fighting the Nomus and Endeavor is trying to help out Miracle with that Nomu, we cut over to Eraserhead chasing one Nomu. Because this one Nomu like jumps all the way back. And it's kind of a cool scene because the camera pans in on this Nomu's brain. And you see like these little sparks of lightning. And he goes, man, I can't use my quirks. What's going on? This is weird. It must be that guy because his eyes are He goes, man, I can't use my quirks. This is so weird. It has to be Eraserhead because that's what his ability is. But he didn't even touch me. What's going on? He goes, wait a second. He's wearing goggles. His eyes are sealed. That's what it is. It has to be sight. Is there a timer on it? I think I know what to do. So he just runs. He just starts to bolt it and runs away. And Razorhead's chasing him with I-Beam. He goes, wait a second. Oh, he figured out my quirk. That's why he's like running away, trying to get out of my line of sight. And then the other 3 Nomus start to jump everybody else. And Endeavor, he's in the background with. Sorry. Excuse me. Endeavor, he's in the back. Oh, actually. Yep. Okay, yeah, this was the scene. Anyway, Endeavor, he's looking, not Endeavor, Eraserhead's looking at 3 high-end Nomus. President Mike, I-Beam, Crust are fighting them. And Eraserhead like, man, this is bad. I mean, this is really bad. That Nomu that just ran away from me figured out how my quirk works. That's why he ran away. He probably went after Endeavor and Miracle, who's pretty banged up right now. I need to go after that Nomu to turn off his quirk so it doesn't hurt Miracle anymore. And so it can't hurt Endeavor because he's a big gun. It's Endeavor. But I can't take my eyes off of 3's. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Let me slow down. I can't take my eyes off of these high-end Nomus right here in front of me that's fighting, crushing everybody. Because, if I take my eyes off of them, they're going to get ran through. So he goes, hey, Mike, I-Beam, you go help Endeavor. I'm going to just stay here to look at these guys, okay? So that's what they do. They get run over to go help Endeavor. And then we cut back to Miracle during her, I'm pretty sure it was called Lunar Axe, if I'm not mistaken, because he full on does her downward kick on the container. It doesn't fully destroy the container that Sigaraki's in, but it makes a huge crack at it, and all the goo and like goop inside of it starts to leak out. Obviously, that's not good. So she didn't destroy it, but she like damaged it pretty badly. So good on her. And no, Lunar Arc. That's what it's called. My bad. Lunar Arc. And we do get like a kanji. Yeah, there we go. Lunar Arc. That's what I mean. And so she banged it up pretty bad. And then that Nomu that ran away to fight Endeavor, that ran away from Eraserhead, grabs her and, as you saw, yanked her back. And it yanks her back and throws her right into Endeavor's arm. Endeavor cauterizes her wounds with his flame quirk. And he also says, don't die on me, Miracle. I still have to pay you back for Kamino. He's mentioning the time that when it's kind of funny, as soon as he became #1 hero, him and Hawks fought the high-end Nomu Hood. And it was such a tough fight that Endeavor was like, he was on death's door. He was really finna die. His eye was all woozy. He lost a lot of blood. He was banged up pretty bad. Hawks wasn't as banged up, but he was still pretty tired too. And his wings were pretty small. and Dabi came in to finish the job. But then Miracle came in and Dabi ran away. So he still has to pay her back for that. That's what he's mentioning. Anyway, we cut to the scene. Oh, I was kind of quick with it. My bad. I was kind of quick with it. After that, Miracle tells everybody on the earpieces that Shigaraki is inside of one of those tube things that the high-end Nomus were in. So that means whenever Dr. Garaki lets him out, he's not going to be the same like Shigaraki that they met before. He got upgraded like these high-end Nomus, so they cannot let this guy out. And that's when Endeavor has them. That's when Eraserhead has their eternal dialogue. He's like, "Oh, she's right." And I can't take my eyes off of these higher Nomus in front of me. But Endeavor's going to need some help fighting that Nomu that's with him there. And that's when he sends Mike and I-Beam after them. So Mike and I-Beam run over there. Dr. Garaki goes to wake Shigaraki up. But then Mike yells. It completely destroys the container that he was in. Shigaraki flops out. And then he runs over to Dr. Garaki and does DJ. And then he gets a flashback of Shirakumo and Eraserhead. Punch! Boom! That's for making my friend cry. That's pretty cool because we don't normally, Mike is usually like the goofball. I'm showing this scene right here, the DJ punch, and I'm also showing how I really like how they animate Mike's yell. It's pretty cool. Anyway, Mike doesn't, he's normally like the goofball, like goofing around and stuff, so he doesn't really fight like that. But, he puts in the work here in this arc. So does Mount Lady. I was so those like some of the heroes in this arc that you don't normally see fight like that. That's normally like the goofballs. They don't, they actually get their due in this war arc. Like I really like it. I mean, that's pretty dope. I like that. And also, his friend's name is Shirakumo. I kept forgetting that in the manga when I was reviewing it, and in the anime too when I was reviewing the episode where they went to go talk to Kurogiri and his name was Shirakumo. Like their friend from the past that got turned to Kurogiri, his name is Shirakumo. I kept forgetting that. And this was when he did his DJ punch. I mean, it's just a punch, but it's still Mike doing it. And you never see Mike do anything like this, so it was still pretty hype. It was still a pretty hype moment, even though he doesn't normally do it. Now, President Mike grabs Dr. Garaki and says, "Hey, those Nomu only do what you say, right? So I'm going to grab you, bring you over to the Nomu, and you better call them off." He goes, "I-Beam, you stay here and guard Shigaraki." He goes, "Okay." And he does also like not grab, but he touches his chest. There's no heartbeat. Dr. Garaki explained that, he's in suspended animation. He was supposed to be shocked back to life inside that tube with all the juice and stuff in it when I pressed this button. But you guys just completely destroyed everything. So I don't even know what I'm going to do now. He's going to die if I don't do anything. And then he off the face, man, shut up. I don't care. I'm good. He dies. And he grabs him to bring him over to the high-end Nomu so he can call him off. And Gazer Beam, he looks up and he goes, "Huh? What is that machine over there?" And while Prison Mike is running him over to the high-end Nomus, he starts to explain about how his quirk allows him to age. Well, his quirk stops his aging. It takes away his ability to fight, like his fighting capability. But in exchange, he can like live forever. Because he mentioned about how when he first started to let me start over. When back in the day when he first started to tell everybody about the quirk of Doomsday 3, it was called something different back in the day. But when that first started to get in people's minds, people called him crazy and lunatic, and there was only one person that really believed in him, All For One. And Mikey's like, "Wait a second, you were there when that first started to get in people's heads. You have to be at least 100, 120 by now." And then he remembers when Eraserhead put his quirk erasing, quirk on the clone of him. He goes, "Wait, that makes sense." And then Garaki's like, "Yeah, my quirk allows me to live longer, but it takes away my fighting capabilities. But hey, I don't really need to fight. I'm an old man anyway. But it takes away my fighting capabilities, but I'm able to live a lot longer." He goes, "The quirk I have now of my own quirk is a duplicate. All For One duplicated my quirk, gave me a duplicate, and he has the original. Same with Shigaraki. He duplicated the All For One quirk. I had to put it into him, and that was going to be my masterpiece. But you heroes just duh. Like you heroes just gotta mess up everything. And while they're talking, we cut over to Shigaraki, and he's in like this dream mindscape where he's walking around, and there's all these destroyed buildings floating around him, and there's also memories floating around him too. Cause we see like a memory of his little sister talking to him, and he looks to the side, and he goes, "Huh? Oh, I don't really care about that anymore." And then we see an image of a little kid Shigaraki, and his father is like a gigantic image of him, and he goes to beat him, but as Shigaraki does this, decays him, and he just keeps walking in like this dream mindscape, which was pretty cool. Like it was cool to see in the manga, but in the anime it's pretty cool here too. Like everything's all white, everything's distorted. You just see buildings floating around in this dream mindscape. Like it's pretty cool. Like I like it. I like how they animated it. It was pretty cool in the manga, but just to see animated and move around, it was pretty dope. Anyway, while he's walking around, he sees All for One, and he has like this red smoke around his head. He goes, "Master, you kind of look like Kirigiri now." And then we do cut back over to Mike, and he's talking about how he's kind of disgusted for even holding this guy because he just loves torturing people and making no moves, and he's All for One right hand man. But he does kind of need him to run over to stop the higher nobles from fighting everybody. Anyway, we cut back into the dreamscape, and Shigaraki's walking towards All for One, but all his family members grab him to hold him back. And his dad comes through All for One, holds his face, and Nanashima comes in, holds the back of his head, while the rest of his family holds like his arm and his leg. And he's like, get off me. Like at first he decays his father, and he goes, "Get off me. You guys are gonna see me for who I truly am." And then he walks through the All for One image, and then we cut back to real life to where one of the wires start to spark all the juice and stuff that's on the floor. It hits Shigaraki. He wakes up. Gazer Beam looks at him. He's like, "Oh shoot!" And we get the credits. We got the credits. But this was a pretty cool scene where like all his family members grabbed him to stop him. Right here. Oh, I just noticed Shigaraki gets kind of scared and like jumps back when his family member, or when his dad touches his face. See right here, all his family like stop him, try to stop him from going down the evil path to go to All for One, but he goes anyway because that's his true self that he's seeing right now. And then, like I said, that little spark like hits Shigaraki. He fully wakes up. Gaze Beam like, "Oh no!" And then we cut to the next episode. We cut to the credits, which is pretty crazy. My bad for stuttering so bad in that middle part with Eraserhead and everything. I don't know how I got those two sequences messed up, because there was that one Nomu that like looked like a girl that had the hair cord and that pulled her back. Then there was the other Nomu that like ran away from Eraserhead and was fighting Endeavor because like it like figured out how Eraserhead quirk works, so he has to like keep his distance, so like it can't be in his eyesight. I got those two Nomus mixed up. That's why I said that stuff earlier. I don't know, my bad. I just kept stuttering. I got Eraserhead and Endeavor's name mixed up too. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. I butchered it. But, I got through it, though. I got through it. So, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all later. I thank you all for watching. I thank you all out there for being wonderful human beings. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Whew.